everybody, and here we are back with another video. Now, a while back I recorded a tutorial on how to paint fur. I used Wolf Girl from Hannah Lynn's Enchanted Halloween, and I have recently gotten a request to do a demonstration. I apologize for my loud little monkey. To do a demonstration on how I color in the moons. Because for the most part, in almost any coloring book, if you have a moon on your page, it's going to be blank. There's not going to be anything to it. But I like making the moons look more realistic, so I always add texture. So today I'm going to just demonstrate how to very easily achieve this dimensional look. You could do this in pretty much any color. You could make your craters look more, what's the word I'm looking for? You could strengthen them and make them pop out more. I cannot think of the word that I'm trying to think of. And you could do different colors of moons. So see here I have a blue moon. You could do red moons, orange moons. You could do purple. You could even do green, really, if that's what you want to do. I mean, it's a coloring book, so the moon doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a realistic moon color. And really, aside from like greens and pinks and such, moons could almost be any color. So the picture I'm going to use to show this, or to do this demonstration, is All Hallows Eve, which is, again, in Hannah Lynn's Enchanted Halloween. And I have some colors here for you. I've only ever done a gray moon and a blue moon so far. And actually, now that I'm thinking about that, because All Hallows Eve, in my mind, it's going to be mostly like muted browns and maybe like slight reds. So you know what? I think I'm going to save this one, and I'm going to do a red moon. And since I'm not really prepped for that, I will do this one. I'm not sure of her title. Let's see here. She is called Victoria. So I will do the moon in Victoria. So again, here's just some suggestions for colors. There's the suggestions for a gray moon. Here's what I'm going to use today to do a blue moon. Again, these are just suggestions. I'm not going to list colors in cheaper budget brands, because really you can achieve this look just as long as you have a few colors. You don't even have to have 5. As long as you have a few colors from darkest to lightest, you can achieve this look using any kind of pencil. And of course in any kind of color. So I'm going to get this page set up here. I gotta clip the book to my my cage, which is really just a cheap storage shelf thing I got from the dollar store that ended up not being very useful for what I wanted it for. So I gave it another use in recording videos. And it's not exactly the best fix for recording videos, but it's all I have and it works. So I won't complain too much. Now I'm just going to steal the clip here from my Mermaids and Fairies book. And if you want to see what I'm doing here, all I do is just clip the book to the side of the cage like that. Because this cage is pretty small, I don't have enough room to spread the book open. I could have the book open and have the cage on top of it, which I have done in the past, but it's not very convenient, I find. I've got several pieces of paper in behind my image. Sorry, I had to get my little monster situated here. I can't remember what I was saying. Let's see. It's been a while since I've colored a moon. It's been a while since I've worked in the Halloween book. I can't remember the last image I did in here. I did finally finish, and I'll show this off. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that this has been a work in progress for a while, and I finally finished it. Now what's cool about this page is I actually use an online recipe to make my own textured snow here. So the snow actually looks somewhat realistic, which is kind of neat. I just used my scholars for this page, and honestly, I did it just to get it done. Because I keep all my books that I have a work in progress in here. So unless I'm not working in them, they don't go back to my shelf. And now that I have Hannah's 6th book, the I Dream in Color one, I wanted to have my Christmas book back so that the collection is all on the shelf together. So let's just zoom in on the moon here while I'm standing up. And again, if you watch any of my other videos, I try to use 2 cameras just in case we lose a clip on one, we can salvage it with the other. Don't mind my squeaky chair, which actually wasn't that bad that time. Okay, and also, I haven't sharpened my pencils at all. Never prepared, guys. I see a moment where I can record and I just dive into it. My husband's on days off right now, so he's going to be home all day for the next 6 days. He doesn't go away to work. He's home every night, but he just doesn't have to go to work or go into the shop for the next 6 days. So he's actually out getting a few groceries right now, so I figured at least record part of this. Hopefully this won't be too long of a tutorial. So what I'm going to do now, or first I should say, is I'm just going to take the lightest color, which is the sky blue light. Okay, so we're using sky blue light, and I actually just made a color swatch for that. Realized I didn't have one before. So we're just going to take that, and we're just going to very lightly just put a layer on over the whole moon. Just super light pressure, just enough so you can just see the color on the page. It's very, very light, so I'm sure the camera probably doesn't even pick it up. Now I'm wondering, that might be her arm. And I'm not sure because I never looked up a reference picture before starting this. I'm just going to take one camera off record for a second here, and I'm going to look it up. Okay, so I looked at some pictures, some completed pictures of this page from the Hannah Lynn group, and it seems about 50-50. Some did this whole space as her arm, some did it as the moon, but the ones with it done as the moon kind of look funny. So I think I'm going to leave that as her arm, because her arm being bent this way just seems a little awkward. I'm just going to get this other camera set up here again quick, and I'll dive back into here, so it's not to color that anymore. Alright, so now I'm going to switch to the Nonphoto Blue. What I'm going to do, I'm going to color in around the edge here. Just again with that very light pressure, and I'm going to fade it up into the lightest blue. Now the key to making the moon look round, I've done quite a few moon paintings, so it's actually where I've learned this trick, is you want to have the bottom of the moon, and usually I do the bottom right portion of the moon darker, but you want to leave just a sliver of light, so you don't want to have it dark right up to the outside of the moon. You want it to go dark and then have this light sliver showing through. And then about the same with the top. You want a super bright spot over here, and then you want it somewhat lighter. You don't want it super dark up here, but you want it lighter, or fairly darker than just the sliver here. Sorry, another slight distraction from my little dude. Wish I still had one of my paintings to show you, but I sold one and then gave the other one to my husband. His birthday present last year. I don't know where he has it, but let's see if I have a page here where I can show you. Okay, so kind of here, so up here you can see it. There we go. Up here is super light, but then you have these little fairly darker spots that are going towards it. I never did do that shading part down here though. I'm not sure why. I mean, again, it's just a coloring page, so it doesn't really matter. But I did do it here. You can see there's a sliver of light here, and then it gets dark. And same with up here. It's super light up here, and then it starts fading into darker tones. So that's something you want to keep in mind. So up here, just going to kind of darken this area up a little bit. Use vertical strokes, and I'm just going to bring this down. Now when it comes to adding craters and stuff, there's really no technique behind that. I can show you how to do it, but when it comes to where to place them, what's going to look good, you're going to have to figure that out yourself. And how I recommend doing that is like we always do. Start off with your lighter pencils. So with the Nonphoto Blue, I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to add random craters and just pretty much just random areas on the page, just very lightly, just enough so you can kind of see it. And from there, if I like it, I can, you know, make them darker, which the craters will be the darker areas on the moon for the most part. And if I don't like it, then I can just color it in as the moon and move the craters around. So that's really handy to do. I do kind of like a circular kind of crater here and fade it out a little bit, I think. I'll just put one coming up here behind the cloud. Maybe one that just kind of peeks through between the cat and its tail. And then one more little one right here. Actually, let's do, that was a little harder than I wanted. Let's do a couple little kind of half circles. Just kind of give this some more texture here. For the most part, I'm going to put my little half ovals inside where I've shaded off areas to be as the craters. One more little one down here, and maybe one peeking from up there. See, I'm a perfectionist, so this is really tricky for me, but you really don't want your craters to be absolutely perfect. You don't want your moon to be absolutely perfect. That imperfect look is what's going to make it look so nice. Like when you look at a tree or, I don't know, like a field, it seems perfect to your eye because nature to us is perfect, but really it's imperfect, and that's what makes it so beautiful. So just remember that, and try not to put too much pressure on yourself. Just, if you don't want to commit this to a coloring page or something that you're working on, just draw a circle out on a piece of paper and practice. It's the best thing that you could do. My first few moon paintings that I ever did were, they were alright, but they definitely weren't that great. The more I practiced, the better I got, and then it was a little bit of a challenge transferring that knowledge into using pencils, but really I find that it's not so different. So I'm happy with these craters, so I'm just going to darken them up just slightly, just a little bit. Alright, go ahead, kiddo. Okay. So I'm happy with that. I'm not quite happy with these little areas going down. I feel like it's too strange. So I'm going to turn this one into one big one here. And I'm just going to have it come upwards. I'm going to have this one come up here. Good job, baby. Would that be it? How's your movie? Okay, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go in with my next color. Sorry guys, that was the Nonphoto Blue. I thought I had a tag here for that. Oh, it's on the floor. Alright, we're not off to a good start. Hopefully you guys can somewhat follow along though, and we're still going. We're in at 16 minutes already. Like, holy. I talk a lot. I apologize. So now we're going to go in with the True Blue. Actually, you know what? I'm happy with how this is looking. I have everything kind of mapped out where I think I want it, where I'm certain that I want it. So I'm actually going to go in with the Indigo Blue. I hope I'm saying that right. That's a tricky one to pronounce. And I'm going to darken up these areas. It's just using very light pressure. I don't want to go too dark at first. You always want to remember, it's very easy to add, but it is really difficult to take away. Even if you have a battery-powered eraser or any fancy stuff like that, it's still very tricky. So I'm going to press fairly hard here, just around this edge, and then I'm going to blend it out towards the inside of the moon, but I'm also going to just slightly blend it out towards the outside. And I'm going to bring that up, I think, to here. I'm just going to do the same thing. Just fading that line out so it's not so harsh. It's still really dark, but it doesn't look as harsh. Just going to kind of outline these little circle areas that I have set as craters. Make them darker so you can see them better. Just the one peeking in from there. And also what I'm going to do is I'm just going to darken up the middle areas where we have these weird little longer, less cratery looking things. I guess it's just kind of like the moon's shadow. I don't know what you would call it. Just going to darken up the very center of those and then fade them out. So I'm going to darken up the middles of some of these craters here. That now doesn't look as rounded as I wanted it to. Darken up the middle of this little shadow here. Fade it out. So it's not so harsh. This, I think we brought it up to here. So we'll do that. Let's add a little shadow in behind the cat's tail, so we'll darken up the middle of that and then fade it out. So here, I'm going to darken up to here. Now you can kind of see that it still looks funny, and I promise that the more you get on here, the better that it will look. So next I'm going to switch to the Indigo Blue, and I'm pretty much just going to go over all the darker areas that I just did. The Indigo Blue and the Indanthrone Blue, I really don't know if I'm saying that right. They're very similar in color, they're both very dark. So I'm not going to bring this color out much more than I did with the darkest color. Just slightly. Go over some of these areas, just build up some layers here. Actually, I'm going to bring this up a little bit more. You know what? Let's continue this one from behind the cat. I'm going to bring it up here a little bit and then curve it off right there, I think. I'll just randomly add stuff so the moon looks a little bit more full. So next we're going to switch to the True Blue. And again, I'm just going to lightly go over everything, and I'm going to fade it out. Using slightly firmer pressure with this one, and then lightening up as we reach towards the lighter parts of the moon. We have 22 minutes, so I'm going to stop here right away and go save this to the computer. So I'm just going to do that everywhere that I have darker shadows. I'm going to fade them out so they fade into the lighter areas. This makes them still dark, but then they're not as harsh. I'm going to go over this area that I just added here. Fade that out. These craters as well, just circle around them. So I want to make them look more round. Okay, I'm going to go save this and we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back and we're recording. So we left off with the True Blue. And I think things are looking pretty good right now. I'm liking how this is turning out. So now let's go in with our Nonphoto Blue, and we're just going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go over pretty much everything with a light layer. And we're going to gently fade out from where we left off with our True Blue. And one thing you'll notice is that up near the top here, I've left it completely, I want to say white, but it's got just a slight touch of the powder blue up here. And then down here, our lighter area is more of the Nonphoto Blue. It's more personal preference on whether or not you want your light down here to be even lighter. I might go in with an eraser and just lighten that up just a touch. Which I think I will do that. So I'm not going to use any special eraser, if I can find the one I'm looking for. Ah, there it is. I got these Studio dust-free erasers from the dollar store, and they came in a variety of colors. I've got a yellow one here. And there's also, I think, like pink, orange, green. I think that's about it. There's pink, blue, and orange. I just like them because they're colorful and they do work. They don't leave as much dust behind as most erasers do. So I'm just going to very carefully go in around this edge here and lighten it up all the way around. And then I'm just going to lighten up the pressure and kind of erase just a little bit past that edge too. Just to kind of get a nice blended look here. So now that I did that, I'm going to go in with the Nonphoto Blue, just right on the edge of this darker line here, and I'm going to fade that out. And I'm going to leave it just like that. The only other color down there will be the powder blue. So I'm going to put a little bit of Nonphoto Blue in around this part here. Of course, my husband's home now. So I might have to record the rest of this later, unless he goes downstairs. It's not that, I've said before that he'd probably make fun of me. I don't think he would. Like, maybe he would, in good humor. But I am a very anxious person, and it's more the fact that I feel like an idiot talking to myself than I shouldn't be talking to myself. It's just how I feel, so... It's silly, and I know it's silly, but maybe I'll get used to it eventually. I'm sure the more I did it, the more I'd get used to it. Now I'm just going to go back in with the Indigo Blue, and I'm just going to darken up these darker areas even more. I want them to be very dark, especially in the middles here. So I'm using a fairly firm pressure, I'd say about a medium pressure, but I'm going over and over and over these areas just to kind of darken them up. Darken up our little half circle areas too. I have to go open the door, I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Silly something. Mom life. Actually, this time it was the husband. But excuse my squeaky chair, as always. So we're just going to continue darkening up these shadows. For no rhyme or reason, just a medium firm pressure just to get it to where you want it. A little bit of a darker shadow here behind this cloud. And all the way down here. So I'm quite happy with that, and that is probably as dark as we're gonna go. But as we get our lighter colors in there more, and the lighter colors will actually make these darker blues appear even darker. So I'm just gonna go over everything with the Indigo Blue here, and then just lightly fade it out. Do the exact same thing for all these little shadows here. No thank you, what? Okay. It's random, I never asked him anything. Kids are silly. Okay, so these areas where the blues are, it's starting to get a little burnished here. just from constant layering, switch to our True Blue, and using a fairly heavy hand, I'm going to attempt to completely burnish these darker areas. But then still doing the same thing as before, I'm going to bring the True Blue out a little bit, and I'm going to fade it out towards the lighter areas. And again, I'm going to do that for all of the shadows. And one thing I'm not going to do, right now anyways, for this demo, I don't really need to, because it's technically part of the moon, but not really part of giving the moon this dimension. What I will do eventually when I complete this picture is I'll end up painting in the background. Since the moon's blue, the background will probably be black. So I'd paint in the background, and then what I would do is I would take a white pencil. I would use my Premiere white pencil because it's super soft, so it'll just lay down a little bit easier. And I would just go in around the moon and just kind of shine it out a little bit. I don't know if I should have an example for that, I would think. Actually right here you can see that the moon kind of shines out a little bit. And I'm not going to do that as a tutorial, because if you go and check out my how to paint fur tutorial, I actually do the background in that one, and I show how to get that shine around the moon. So if you're interested in seeing that, go and check that out. It'll probably pop up in the suggested videos. If not, it'll be in the same playlist anyways, so you can go check that out. Just gonna fade this out just slightly further. There, I like that. Okay. So that's why we do light layers, so we could just add and add as much as we need to until we get it to where we like it. And that's pretty much the trick to coloring anything, I find anyways. So now we're going to switch to the Nonphoto Blue, and again we're just going to do the exact same thing. Except we don't really need to go over the darker areas now, so I'm just going to go over the lighter shades, mostly just the True Blue, and I'm going to pretty much just slightly burnish that and then fade out with the Nonphoto Blue. I don't want to fade out too far, otherwise we're not really going to have any room for our lightest color, which is the sky blue light. That's pretty much what's going to blend everything in together. I'm just going to fade this up a little bit. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because I want that to be the lightest color. These areas, I'm just going to fade them in a little bit, but I'm not going to fade them out too much because I want to have that lightest color in there. So we have more shadows towards the bottom of the moon. Here, I'm just going to completely color this part in, but it will fade into the lighter color. Under this cloud, I'll just make totally dark. So other than that, everywhere else, it's going to be faded in with the, or I should say blended in with the sky blue light. So I'm just going to go in with a fairly firm pressure. So this is our very last layer. I'm just going to blend this in with our second lightest blue. Just using small motions, and I'm going just over the blues, blending them together. Okay, go ahead, kiddo. Your possibilities with creating moons like this is pretty much endless because you could do so many different types. And if you don't really have a picture in your head or you don't really want to wing it like I did, then you can just go on Google and search up pictures of moons and, you know, try to recreate them. Not even color-wise, but just like shadow and crater-wise. There is our finished moon. I would say that the design I used for this moon is probably a little bit more whimsical than my previous ones. My previous ones, this one especially, I was looking at an image of the moon. And even then, it looks semi-realistic, but not quite. On paper, I struggle to get that really realistic looking moon. But maybe you guys see it as more realistic. I mean, who knows? As artists, we're a lot harder on ourselves than others will be. So even though these moons may look completely realistic to you, I feel that they could use a little bit more work. But I'm also comparing them to my painted moons, and to me, painting comes a lot easier than coloring. So, but I'm sure the more, as always, the more you practice, the better you'll get with it. Sorry. My phone does that weird thing where it zooms or focuses when I don't mean it to. I think it turned out really good. From afar, actually looking at it through the camera, how it looks, it doesn't look as cartoonistic, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't look as cartoonistic as it does on the in real life. And silly me, I just noticed that there's also this little piece of moon here tucked in the back, which is kind of silly because to me that shouldn't be there. If I take a pencil here, if I was to draw a circle, if I was to draw this circle, it would come in like this. It would probably end right about there. Come in this way maybe. If anything, maybe like a little tiny sliver here. So I'm not going to color that in as the moon. I'm going to leave that. As I said, I'll probably end up painting the background of this black anyways, so I can get rid of that line. It's another thing I like about acrylic paints is, just realized it's a good thing that the bats are either in the moon for the most part or by the clouds, otherwise I wouldn't really be able to see them. I'll probably just go in with black paint on the bats anyways, and then just use grays to kind of highlight them and make them show up a little bit better, but still look pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, that's another thing I like about using acrylic paints, because you can kind of add stuff in or take things out if you'd like. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial. As always, if you have any questions or suggestions or things that you would like to see, please don't hesitate to ask me, and I will do what I can to help you out. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, bye guys.